What is up, everyone? We are back with the LB7 Duramax. Finally, it's been like 2 months since I made a video. I made tons of progress, got new wheels on it, I got the fast finished up, got exhaust for it, and got the motor mostly assembled. So I'm going to finish that up today, as well as run you guys through some other stuff I want to do. So let's get into it. Here she is. Hopefully that fan doesn't make too much noise, but it is not turning off for the rest of this video because the heat index is feels like 115 today. Not dealing with that, but I did go with some 17 by 9s Pro Comp wheels, and then the same 33s that are on the white truck out here. I really like how this truck looked. It's just a nice classic look. I don't think I'm gonna paint match the front of the other truck. I like how that one turned out, and I'm thinking of doing like a more classic build to start with this, like leave the chrome and the black bumper. Well, I don't know what I'm doing about the grill yet, but that's all way down the road. So that fan's loud, but I'm not turning it off. This is the motor. One of my coworkers helped me gap rings. I got all the crank in, bearings in. I do have some connecting rod bolts from ARP I need to put in. I bought some ARP valve cover bolts, the crank bolt, and these are the bolts I'm doing today, as well as the head stud kit. I'm gonna go ahead and put the heads on today. I have head gaskets in my car, so let's start with that. For head studs over here, gotta go with ARP. I don't believe these are the 625s. I think there's some options for these, but I don't wanna clamp down that hard on a stock head, so I'm not. And then grade C GM head gaskets over here. The right and the left are two different prices. One's like 15 bucks more. No clue why that is, but $150 in just head gaskets here, so I got to make sure these don't get creased. I'll have to put my little dowel pins back in, but first I want to get the rod caps torqued down, bolted down, make sure the engine spins freely. So I think I'm going to start with that. Here's the motor. Block needs a little paint job. She needs some love, but I'll do that very last. I do like this engine stand on a side note from Harbor Freight Daytona. It's got the little lockdown wheels, it's got a hand crank, and it's even got a lock for this. You can lock the wheels, and it's just a really good engine stand. So I'm gonna get this flipped over, get the old rod cap bolts out, and get all the new ones in. All right, so the way I'm gonna do this is just get two of them up facing here, take out the bolts, put in the bolts, and then I'll go back through and torque everything, paint mark it. Main studs are already torqued. I did get the ARP main studs because I figured, why not? It's gonna hold this LB7 crank in place. LB7 crank should be good for basically all the power this motor's gonna be pushing. The rods are gonna be the failing point of this. Online they were saying about 1,000 foot-pounds or 550 to 600 horsepower. But I saw a guy made like 13 something on the dyno, and I saw other guys that they've been making 800 on compounds, and their rods have been fine. So I'm just gonna leave it for now. It's just getting an S300 for now, so that's gonna be more than enough. So I'm gonna go get the bolts unboxed and get started. I am using the ARP lubes. Now I'm gonna take my magical little impact. And would you look at that? All the ARP bolts are in, so now I'm gonna go grab my torque wrench and we'll get them all torqued down to 95. All right, I'm not gonna show all this on camera because it's gonna take a very long time, but basically I'm gonna torque them down in equal segments. If I can even get the socket on. I'm gonna go through and do all that. I'll up it to probably 70 next, and then I'll go in for the 90. So I'm gonna do a time lapse real quick. All right, got everything torqued. Everything is paint marked. I'm gonna go over everything again with my eyes just to make sure everything's done. Probably not going to put the upper pan on yet, but the bottom end is essentially done. It spins over, minimal resistance. Obviously you don't want it to just fly over. It means your bearings are loose, but a little bit of resistance, nice and smooth. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and we can start the head studs. The head surface is cleaned up. I got to insert the dowels. These guys, I'll probably have to put the camera down to do it, but these just pinch, push them in. I like to tap them in with a little brass hammer. We'll get all those set in, and then we'll get the studs in. So now I'm in the territory of everyone has their own way of doing it. You're gonna get the old heads that they do it their way, and that's the only way that's right. But the way I like to do this is I get the head gasket set on, I get it aligned with the stud, and then I like to put the head studs on first and slide the head over. I just like doing it that way. You can do it however way you want. Place I used to work at, they do head studs after. They put the heads on first, line them up with the dowels, and then put the head studs in. Doesn't matter, it gets done either way. Just got to make sure everything's lined up. So there is a right and left. You have to get them exactly right. Pretty sure it says, yeah, there's an R right there and an L right here. So it's as you're facing in the cab. So that's going to be your left, that's going to be your right, and these only go on one way. So I'm going to get those set on, and then I'll get the head studs in. One more thing I want to mention before I put in studs: blow out all the holes, make sure there's no oil in it, because fluid does not compress like air does, and it will actually crack the block. I've seen it done in small blocks, so just make sure all the liquid's out, all the oil, all the water if you had it in there for some reason. Any fluid has to be out of there. So I'm gonna get the head studs on now. Now I got them all snug down to my little Milwaukee driver over there. Now I go back with the ratchet. I'm just gonna loosen all of them back just a little bit, and then I'll go back through and just tighten them by hand. It's just easier with the impact because it's faster. Just turn it on one. It should take no force at all to break these loose. I'm gonna go through, do all these, and then I'll be ready to set the heads on. Here are the heads. They are freshly machined. The way you tell front and back on these is freeze plugs go in the back. The coolant ports are in the front for the crossovers. So this would be the driver's side head. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy set on, and then we'll get the bolts tightened. So for the Duramaxes, you have, I think, 18 head studs, and then 4 of these smaller ones that go along the top here. These ones are done last. They all just go in right there. And they're torqued to 125. I do 4 sequences. First I do 25, and like 65, and then 100, and then 125. And then I actually go back and do 125 again. So 5 passes on each side, 10 passes in all. It's gonna be a lot of work. So same drill, put ARP lube on the nuts, the bolts, everything, and get to placing them. All right, so I'm not gonna bore you guys to death torquing all this in real time, so I'll do a time lapse of it. Heads are on, these are tight, lubricated the washers and the nuts, and you can see still got some on the top of the stud, perfect, just how you want it. So I'm gonna get the camera set up. Gonna be torquing for probably half an hour, so I'll probably have to speed the time lapse up, honestly, but I'm gonna get it done real quick. All right, got everything torqued and ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and stop building the motor for today. I need to choose injectors and the CP3 next. It is an LB7, so it has a fuel restriction above 3,000 RPM. So they have the high output pumps. You can get LBZ ones that flow better. Fleece has one, industrial injection, S&S. They all got a million options to choose from. Definitely gonna go a little bit bigger than stock. I was thinking like they have the 10 mils, which I don't need a 10 mil. I was gonna maybe do a stock LBZ, but I found one that's like stock LBZ plus. I don't know, I'll have to look through it all. And for injectors, obviously do not have any injectors in it right now. Probably 30 overs, maybe 45 overs, depending what I can find it at what price. I'd like to get S&S, but they're on the high end of price, which I understand on these LB7s. You need to spend the money. The white truck has S&S. The SAC stock size injectors in them, so I'll probably get some, definitely going to get some aftermarket injectors. Don't know what size yet, so I'll choose that later, but for right now I'm going to run you guys over what I am doing with the actual truck. All right, so the truck's obviously been looking more like a truck recently. This bed, we set it back on. I'm going to set where I want the FAS at. Needed to pull off the bed. I'm going to flip it over, clean off all that rust. I'm going to coat everything. I was thinking I might do the plastic wheel liners in here, but these ones are actually pretty clean. Might repaint them, we'll see. But there's some options to do with that. And the FAS over here, the level I have it at is about right where I want it. I like them to hang down just a little bit, and that's right, basically perfect. I've bolted up right there, so the bed's sitting a little weird, but this bed will come back off. These wheels made a huge difference in the back here. Everything in the back end's done. I got the airbags and everything. I need to finish up brake lines, but let's take a look at the list. This is the list of everything that like needs to be done. Oil pump I need to order, so I need to make a mark by that. Heater core lines, I got billet ones, which I'll go show you that one real quick. They're from Worley Custom Fab, of course. Billet heater core fittings, these are going to be reusable. The stock plastic ones are horrible. So I went ahead and got the billet ones, even though they were $60. I had to pay 60 bucks for that. Up pipes are done. I'm trying to see what else we got here. I need to test the ignition because I was having ignition issues. I do have power back into the cab if I were to hook the batteries back up. All the cosmetics, that's stuff for after. Boost control, I'm probably not going to add that until after either. It's just, I'm going to get an S364 just as the Valley Turbo for now. It's going to be more than enough, but I think that's like it. Oh, I got exhaust. Let me show you that real quick. I guess I'll shut the fan off for a second. I have this exhaust over here from Speedlab, full 4-inch. I'm a 4-inch guy, I don't like 5-inch. 5-inch doesn't fit good.
What do you mean by that?
5-inch doesn't fit good. It sounds okay, but 4-inch on the LB7 is much better. Gonna get a 4 to 6 polished elbow to come out the side, but this exhaust is super high quality. Galvanized aluminum. They had a different type of aluminum. It was trash compared to this. It's nice and smooth, good welds, good brackets. So my only complaint is the mounting brackets are the typical just exhaust clamp style. I want the actual sleeves, so I probably will get the sleeves for that. The interior over here, I have basically completed the interior. Still little small things to need to do, but everything on the inside's looking good. Need to finish up a few small pieces here and there, but for the most part, this is all done. Got the visors. I need to wrap these in the same material as the headliner, of course. I use vinyl paint for now. It looks trashy, but it'll be good enough for now. So, yeah, starting to look like a real truck again. That's gonna be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll work on tracking down some more parts and get some more stuff installed. I do have a pile of parts over here. I can do all that stuff probably in the next video, but I'll work on tracking down injectors, injection pump, and we can get rocking and rolling. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.